just got back from the Outer Banks with Jackie and her family. But this morning I just got a package from Garden of Life, and I was pretty stoked that I opened it up, and of course all the protein and supplements that I normally order. But then there was a little gift from a article we did last year with J-Lo on the cover, and it was the Extraordinary Health magazine from Garden of Life that you can get at Whole Foods. We did a story over the winter of 2015 to 16 for my ACL surgery and recovery and what I was doing to get ready to compete again, and it's pretty cool. So if you get a chance, go check it out. I think it's online as well, so I'll put that link in the description if I can find it. Now we're on our way to Athletic Lab, and we're gonna do some testing to start our new fitness program moving forward, and then get some lunch, and then we're gonna go ride later on this afternoon. Before I head into Athletic Lab, I just want to bring up a question I get asked a lot, and that is how I live my life without fear. Living with 4 brain tumors and riding BMX bikes for a living, taking risks every day, how do I move past the fear? And it's easy. Well, it's not, but it's the choice. You choose to live in fear, you choose to live in love. So you can choose to move on thinking that bad things are going to happen, or something bad happened before, so you are going to be fearful of the future, or you can choose to use that as a learning experience. What happened in the past happened in the past, and you're strong enough to get over it because you're here right now. Whether you're watching this video or you're doing what you want in life, you've got over your biggest challenges. So you can choose to live in fear, you can choose to live in love, and I choose love, and I dismiss fear. And that's not saying that fear doesn't happen on a regular basis. It happens every day. But I'm at the point now where I've practiced so much to assess whether or not I want to give that fear any power over me, if I want to give it any kind of energy, or if I want to do what I want to do and remove fear. Fear is going to happen, but the difference is acknowledging that that's coming from a thought, whether it's the past, the future, the present, and assess whether or not you want to give it power and you want to move forward with the fear. So I suggest move with love and move forward with love, and give energy to love and the things you want to do, rather than the things you don't want to do or don't want to happen, or the things you're afraid of. Just move past that fear. Acknowledge that it's a choice, and you choose which way you want to live your life. So live with love and be happy. Do what you want. So out here at Athletic Lab, we're going to do some testing to start the new fitness program, and I'm going to have Matt just kind of run through what we're going to do today.
Yeah, so the agenda for today, we're going to do warm-up. It'll be the typical warm-up Josh has been doing over this last cycle. So he's typically been starting on the rower and then doing mobility. Then about 10-15 minutes is the timeline we'll be working on for that. And then vertical jump and approach vertical jump will be the first 2. So those are going to be on the faster end of output for lower body. Max power with the trap bar, so that's more in the middle of the strength speed curve. Squat, which is obviously more on the strength side there, and then K-box, which will be measuring eccentric strength as opposed to concentric. For upper body tests, we'll do a bench press and a weighted pull-up also to finish off there.
What seems to be the issue? No issues.
Aren't we jumping then?
Trying to get the jump mat, the hub, and the iPod to talk.
Technology.
It's the best. It's a vertical jump. Standing vertical is going to be a typical measure of lower body power output, more on the speed side of the speed strength continuum. First one, down by 1/2 centimeter, so almost identical on vertical jump. We're kind of keeping this test period in context that Josh just had a trip out to California. Was able to get some training in, but just because of equipment and facilities, not exactly what the plan was. So as we go on today, we're going to keep that in mind, but exactly 0.6 centimeters lower than the 4 weeks ago when we tested.
So 1 week off, and I'm slacking, so I'm not pleased with that, but we're home for a good couple weeks, so we'll get back on it. So what's next?
Next we got approach vertical.
All right.
It's actually getting a running start. So this is a little bit of an assessment of eccentric strength and basically being able to properly, or effectively I should say, transfer energy that's coming horizontal into vertical. So Josh is gonna bring some speed into the jump and then take off from there, kind of like you would if you're going for a rebound in basketball or going out for a block in volleyball. Approach vertical jump was a personal best for Josh, just over, actually exactly 2 centimeters. So roughly an inch there. It doesn't sound like much to be improving an inch over the course of a month, but also keeping this in context with a week off, but also then this is long term. Now what are we about? We're a little over 9 months into your training here.
About 9 months, 8-9 months.
Yeah, so
minus some injury time here and there.
Yeah. So the days of huge beginner gains from the first time you train, going from one spot to just a world different, go pretty quickly. And then from there, it's a matter of taking those small incremental gains over time. So this is a step in the right direction. So we're doing the trap bar power pull. So we're gonna be using the trap bar here and the push band, which is Josh got over here. And the way the chest is gonna work is we've got a fixed load here. It's gonna be 63 kilos. And Josh is basically gonna jump as high as he can with the bar. So this is a similar motion to a vertical jump or a squat. So on the speed strength continuum, this is gonna be closer to the middle. So we get a different profile of how Josh can produce force under different loads. And based on that, we can distribute our training accordingly to help either bring up where we need to or potentially work where he's weaker. Jumps
So this
every
is a little
set.
warm-up session. We're gonna get into the actual jumping now.
Do 3 jumps every set here, as high as you can. And the push band is gonna give us the max power output, or all the power output numbers there. The highest power output of any of the 3 reps is what we're gonna go off here for the chest.
And it's killing my calluses. It's just destroying them.
This new is dangerous.
How many do you think you eat a day?
I try not to eat as many because I'll try to like just have leftovers when I've eaten. But lately I've been so damn hungry that I'll make this like huge dinner with like meat, vegetables, protein shake and everything and expect to have half of it for the lunch. The next day I'll just eat the whole thing. And so then when I come in here, I'll just make a PB&J as kind of a quick pocket knife meal.
Are you more of a PB or more of a J person?
It's more J. But that's not, stay tuned. You'll see one of my sandwiches.
So we got.
It's already higher.
Oh, we're higher. Sweet.
So you're starting to get comfortable with the test now.
So it's basically just the white man can't jump test on the mat to start it off, but then this stuff's all right.
These are good.
I probably could bunny hop higher than I can jump, to be honest.
You already told me that.
I'd be interested to see what the reality of that.
You have a bike with you.
What do you think? Can I bunny hop higher or jump higher on my feet? I vote on the bike. Overall impressions before the last round.
I'm expecting improvement in the squat based on what we've been doing. So if the squat is up kind of in proportion to how good this is looking, then Josh is going to have the force available to him to jump the way we want to, which is a lot closer to what's actually going to be happening on a bike. Main shift we'll make in training then will be a little bit away from the max strength and a little bit more towards the speed side, so more towards plyos and med ball throws. We'll pick up a little bit more volume there.
So the stuff that's going to make Jackie happy. I don't know how good I feel about that last set.
That was almost 200 watts less. So 3,200 instead of 34. So your best set was the second one. So we'll call it right there.
Are we expecting to see improvement each round?
I usually see people hit their best power output within the first 2 rounds.
Oh, okay.
It sometimes can take longer on the first time like this for you today because there's some familiarity to it. So the first round wasn't really representative of what you can output at all because you're just kind of figuring it out, so to speak. And this is pretty typical. It's not going to take long for us to get a number on this. I'll do the similar format. I'll keep going. If people keep getting better, they're getting more warmed up. But for you, you hit it right where I would expect to. Move on to the next one.
That's what she said.
We're doing squat tests right now. So we're going to use the push band to get a projected max. And if it's within the realm of what we expect, then we'll go with that and start using that for percentage work in the next cycle. Otherwise, if it's kind of outrageous, we may do a rep max when we get up there to verify the push band projection. 5 sets of 3 reps at increasing weight. Push band is going to give us those weights we're going to use based off of Josh's previous max, which is 144 kilos. And as the weight goes up, Josh's effort stays the same. So he gives 100% effort every single rep through the entire test. But we expect as the weight gets heavier, he slows down. And based on that, it's going to project out what the actual max is.
How are we looking so far? What do we got? One
Fast. Yeah, we've got one more set, but there hasn't been much drop off in speed at all throughout the sets, which is really encouraging. So it may give us a crazy high number because of that, but it's also meaning Josh is getting stronger. So likely we'll rep max at the end to verify this.
While I was gone, I did go to a chain gym, but did get some action on the Smith machine. And I think I went a little bit heavier than I expected or thought, because I didn't know how to make up for the bar that's like guided. So maybe that one day helped keep the progression along.
It's either that one day or it was the months and months of training. One of the two.
Who knows?
It's giving us 191 kilo max, which is no way you can do that. That'd be like that'd be well over 400 pounds.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying you can't, but
not yet.
So a lot of times the reason that the push band projection can be nice for someone even who is well versed in the squat or the exercise like Josh is because when we're training for him as an athlete, we're training for his sport, we're not directly training for a 1 rep max squat. If he was a power lifter, he would get very comfortable grinding loads out. So extremely heavy weights that at any moment he could feel like he's gonna fail, but holding the tension and being able to actually push through that. For athletes, we rarely actually work in that zone, all but maybe a few times in a large training cycle. And that becomes a problem with doing a traditional just 1 rep max test. So if we just try to see how much weight we can possibly put on Josh, he'll probably fail before his force actually runs out. So what I mean by that is, say with speeds. For most people, the fail point is gonna be around 0.3 meters per second. A powerlifter can get quite a bit lower as they get comfortable. But let's say Josh might fail at 0.4 meters per second because that's just so much slower than what he's used to. That feels like this is all I got. And so then we don't really get a true look at what he could actually have done because he's just limited on the exercise itself. The push band projection, because we use lighter loads and look at him transferring the force to there, someplace where we do train a lot more frequently. And when I say lighter loads, these aren't necessarily light. Getting to the high 200s or even over 300 pound loads is not gonna be a light squat, but it's gonna be a sub-maximal one. So this may be a good representation of where he's at, it may not be. The way we're then gonna kind of verify the push projection right now is doing a rep max. We'll show you that in a second once we figure out the numbers.
So basically, good stuff.
Good
Improvements.
stuff. Yeah, this is,
we're improving.
It's looking like pretty huge improvements on the squat, which we put a lot of stock in at this last month. So this is where I would usually expect it.
So that's what we want. That's what we're working for. All right, so what are we doing now?
So we're gonna verify the push band's max is by doing a rep max. So based on what it's giving, we're gonna go to a percentage of that. We're gonna do 75%. The main reason we're choosing that percentage is the weight that's gonna be. 145 kilos is something I'm comfortable with Josh actually going for as many reps as he can. I typically will do a rep max at a higher percentage, above 85%, but those loads are something we haven't touched or even come close to touching in training recently, so I don't necessarily want to take that big of a jump and expect an honest performance out of Josh. 145 kilos will be close enough to what we've been using. It is heavier than that Josh will still be able to actually display something out of. So if this is right, a 10 rep max is what we should see, about 75%. Varies person to person to an extent, but we'll see how many he gets and use that to actually see if the push band over predicted or under predicted potentially based on what this rep max says. Yeah, this is just 1 rep here, so this isn't the actual rep max weight. We're just doing a set in between the 115 that we finished the push band projection at and the 145 that he's gonna be doing here. So 130 kilos, just making sure he's hitting the same full depth, hips below the knees, and then up from there. So it's gonna start getting heavier here. You can just put that back from that point. This will actually be as many as you can do here.
Oh, okay.
So I'll spot you on this. This is a weight that you haven't used before. You'll be able to squat it, but we'll see how many times. And we'll stay within a technical max. So as this gets to the point when you're starting to fatigue, if you get a rep, but you're either starting to fall onto your toes or knees are coming in, we'll just call it early there. We won't go until a true failure. And we use this to say if the push band over predicted or under predicted. So spotting Josh on that one, I had to help him out on that, and the first one we're not going to count, wasn't low enough there. So what's going on with that is the weight we actually use, 145 kilos. It's more than Josh has actually had on his back before, and so part of the reason the difficulty is of squatting that is it's more weight, but another reason is that the push band is probably over projecting what Josh is able to do. As an athlete, we're generally better at producing force quickly, so the lighter loads, Josh can really move fast, and as he gets heavier, grinding weights is more difficult. So the push band over-predicted, but still putting this in context, last time we did this here, Josh was using lighter weights than we use today for all the sets, and he moved them at 1 speed. And this week, all the weights were heavier and moved faster. So the improvement is there, even if the push band numbers weren't exactly honest to where he's at the moment. Move forward from here is going to be shifting the strength work actually a little bit more in the direction of true speed and power. So right now the squat is improving, and it's improving at a rate that I really am happy with. The trap bar power pull, the numbers there were encouraging, but the jumps were not encouraging. I'm not really pleased with that. Josh has a lot more in the tank than that, and that's going to be honestly the closest to the actual way that force is produced on the bike. Things are going to be a lot faster there. They're not going to be grinding squats like over here. So the training is going to shift a little bit more in that direction. So we're on the force velocity curve, a little bit away from strength, a little bit more towards the speed there. So you'll see more plyos, more jumping exercises, more medicine ball throwing. Things are actually going to happen faster. So basically taking Josh's ability to produce force and helping him do that even quicker and create more power in the process.
That was actually the first time I've ever got stuck in a back squat and never got up, so that was interesting.
We're going to be using the K-box here to assess eccentric strength. So what that means basically is absorbing force or landing in the way that Josh is going to be looking at it in the park here. So the way the chest is going to work is freestanding. Josh will do 5 squats here, standing up as hard as he possibly can, and then resisting the pull of the K-box on the way down. And then from the actual K-meter inside, we'll get numbers there on how much force you're producing up and on the way down.
It didn't move.
You nailed it, Josh. There's a couple things we're looking at here. One is how much force you can generate eccentrically in terms of watts. So more is better in this. The other one is the eccentric force compared to the concentric. So right now Josh is outputting more force on the way up than he's absorbing on the way down. Part of it is familiarity with the K-box. As the sets go on here, I expect that to be a little bit more true. But for example, that set, there was 3% less force produced on the way down than on the way up. Ultimately, as we train Josh here more, we want that number to be positive. We want it to be more force on the way down than the way up. So the overload there would be -3, +3 would be better.
And the unfamiliarity, right? Yeah, is that how you said it? Either way, you saw me fall over, that's the first, I haven't done that.
So that second set was much more what I was expecting. So as Josh is getting more comfortable again on the K-box after a break there, he's getting a more true representation where he's at. So about 100 more watts for the absolute power there, but also an 8% overload. So the last one was -3%, so 3% less force on the way down, the way up. This was 8% overload. So a positive number there, which is good. Ultimately, we want that higher, but that's, I think, a more true look at where Josh is right now.
You like this machine too, don't you?
I love it. It's my
it?
baby.
Oh yeah, I like that.
No scam.
It's my bait.
We're gonna move on to upper body strength here. We're gonna do a bench press and pull-up test. Bench press will just be a true max. This is about as safe as it's gonna get for that type of test. So you could use a push band here. With Josh, I'm comfortable with him lifting heavy on this one. 90 kilos will be the mark to beat. Pull-ups, we'll do that as a weighted pull-up. So we'll start just body weight for a few reps. With a chain, we'll add weight and go up and see where we can get to. 30 kilos, I believe, is the mark there. I'll have to check in the notes. Last time we tested on this, that was 90 kilos. This was 91 kilos. So we don't go for PR ties, we go for PRs. And from here, we're just gonna start taking a little bit more aggressive jumps and see what he can get, but we've already got improvement on the day, so pressure's off, Josh.
Doug, hitting PRs.
Back goes me, up. That was another PR, so that's by quite a lot, but we're gonna go for 100 now. Try to get the big one now.
I always feel like my bench press is always kind of weak, so I'm pretty stoked on this.
Well, that was a big emphasis you wanted to put in this last block. You were talking about how upper body strength, you want to improve that for controlling the bike, whether for whip tricks and whatnot. So this was somewhere that I was cautiously but optimistically expecting big improvement. So far so good.
Awesome, thanks, Matt.
Get up, get up, get up, get up. Come on, back towards me, back towards me. 100 kilos.
Thoughts?
Happy. That's great. 10 kilo improvements. We're talking about 25 pounds there.
I felt it. I felt good though. Got it.
Good. We'll call it right there. That's good.
Sweet.
Josh right now is going to be setting up for a PR attempt at weighted pull-ups. So 2 blues and a 1 kilo right down here for 41 kilos. Last time we tested, 40 kilos was his best. So just like with the bench press, we'll go for a small PR first, get a PR, get some improvement there, or see some improvement there, and then start going for more aggressive jumps. So you'll notice Josh at the bottom, one of his elbows doesn't extend all the way, but then from there, he's gonna get his shin way over the bar, leave no doubt. And that's a PR.
In the last set, you heard me explaining with Josh that one of his elbows doesn't extend all the way. That's from a past injury. So we'll deviate a little bit from our standard protocols of being strict. Elbows have to be locked out, chin over the bar, obviously because anatomically that's not gonna be possible for Josh right now. But the chin over the bar is gonna be the main checkpoint. So he goes from as much of a dead hang as he can to that top position. We're going to 45 kilos now. We've got that PR, this will be a bigger jump. 45 kilos PR attempt for Josh here. He's already got 1 PR.
My chin over?
Let's review.
Successful day of testing, got some new PRs. Pretty surprised because I had a week off basically. I'm pretty happy with that. Get ready to get some food and go ride, but first we got Matt, overall thoughts.
Yeah, overall thoughts, definitely pleased. So I mentioned when we were doing the bench press test that one of the things Josh wanted to emphasize this past block of training was upper body strength. So the biggest improvements by far were in the bench press. We got a 10 kilo improvement, that's 22 pounds, and a 5 kilo improvement on weighted pull-up, that's 11 pounds. So for 3 weeks of training, then the week wasn't intended to be off, but semi-off last week that Josh had, that's really, really strong to see there. As far as then lower body outputs, we're seeing that strength is moving well and power outputs are good, but the speed that is coming is gonna be the main weakness right now. So doing more work that's truly on the speed end there, like I mentioned a few times now, vertical jumping, plyos, med ball throwing, work like that is gonna make a big difference in where Josh can get the most improvement at this point. But overall, very pleased, and we're kind of keeping it in check that today that we expected a little bit of anything could happen after that week when Josh was out west. So it was going to be somewhat the mercy of the facility he was able to get to. But even with that considered, having those improvements is really encouraging. So I'm pleased all around.
So good stuff. Now we can treat ourselves to some healthy food and then some BMX riding. Maybe we'll get Matt on a bike one day.
I want to. No scam.
So just leaving athletic lab now. Successful first day of testing. Well, it's pretty much always a first day when it comes to testing because we're testing for a new block and a new program. But either way, it was a great day. Got some PRs and some things, especially some upper body things, which was our focus and focus moving forward. Now we're gonna get some lunch. I got my apple and protein shake ready to go. We're gonna get some lunch and then give it a couple hours and go ride and get some work done in between. It's already been a great day and great day moving forward. And so, yeah, thanks for joining on the ride.